their first homegrown satellites into space aboard a NASA rocket. Reports say Zimbabwe's satellite named ZimSat-1 was designed and assembled by three of the country's scientists who were supported and trained in Japan.
Uganda's satellites, the Pearl Africa Sat-1, was also built by three of its aerospace engineers and hopes that it will be able to set up its own command station to manage it. Meanwhile, once in orbit, the two satellites will collect images to help support research into weather forecasting as well as monitoring border security and disaster prevention for their countries.
Going back to a similar historic moment for the African nation of Ghana, NASA launched the country's first ever satellite, the Ghana Sat-1, into orbit from the International Space Station on July 7, 2017.
The CubeSat, built by a Ghanaian engineering team at All Nations University, was delivered to NASA's International Space Station a month before the launch.
Now here's a video of this recent launch, the launch of the satellite into space, Uganda and Zimbabwe. There you have it, the takeoff of Uganda's satellite into space and ZimSat-1. While African countries around the world are making headlines and achieving great feats, when will the Southern Cameroons be able to set out to create such scientific evolution in modern day? And what does Zimbabwe and Uganda have that the former British Southern Cameroons did not have? Well, I'd say freedom from repression and oppression, because with that comes a lot of other limitations. We heard yesterday from one of our panelists just before Undaunted say, indirectly, Amazonia is being controlled by a proxy of France, which is La République du Cameroon.
All right, so let's look at the chances of Franc-Afrique countries prospering in thin, as Franc-Afrique is the ultimate symbol of a confiscated, perverted sovereignty. This singular coinage perfectly illustrates France's dogged refusal to decolonize. And as Senegalese novelist Boubacar Boris Diop notes, as such, it continues to beget little monsters.
The term Franc-Afrique is referring to France's sphere of influence in Africa. I think it's pronounced François-Afrique, and particularly its ex-colonies, the ex-colonies of France. And the term was derived from the expression Franc-Afrique, which was used by the first president of Ivory Coast, Félix Houphouët-Boigny, in 1955 to describe his country's close ties with France. It was later renamed France-Afrique by François-Xavier Virchow in 1998 to criticize the alleged corrupt and clandestine activities of various Franco-African political, economic, and military networks.
Actually, Franc-Afrique refers to a unique and absolutely fascinating political phenomenon, the continuous subjugation of supposedly sovereign African states by their former colonial master, in this case, France. With this including continuous exploitation, how can one expect these countries to thrive?